We come now to the second part of our lesson on participles in Latin. So, how is the participle used in a Latin sentence? But before we go to that, let us take a look at what a participle is. Ano ang participle? Bago kita magtukar kang subject matter on how to use the participle. So a participle is defined as a verbal adjective. Meaning to say, it is an adjective formed from or based on a verb. In the first part, we learned how to form the four participles from verbs. So, if a participle is a verbal adjective, like other adjectives, its main use in grammar is to modify a noun or a pronoun. So, yung bagayan ang basic, very basic function kan adjective, to modify a noun or a pronoun. So, that is also the job, the function, the grammatical function of verbal adjectives are generally in a given Latin sentence to modify a noun or a pronoun. And yet, since it is verbal, it expresses action or state of being and can have predicate. So here, predicate, we are using it in a very general way. Yung bagang kung sa sentence, we have the subject, we have the verb, and the predicate. So gabos na mga yaraon sa sunod kang verb is generally called predicate. Yun ang gusto tang sabihin natin. But sabihin, the verbal adjective is not simply a modifier, but because it is derived from a verb, it can have constructions that ordinary verbs have. Halimbawa nga, pwede magkaigong direct object, pwede magkaigong indirect object. Kung passive, pwedeng magkaigwa ng ablative agent. So, iyon ang butan sabi yung kanyang predicate understood in a general way. So, yan ang both sabihon kang participle. Primarily, as an adjective, it is used to modify a noun or a pronoun. And because it is a verb, derived from a verb, it can be used in other constructions like any other. Okay, so as we have said, participle is generally a modifier. So as an adjective modifier, the participle must follow the rule of agreement, number 2, which we already studied in the first lesson of this course. There we studied several rules of agreement, and number 2 agreement is the agreement between the adjective and the word it modifies. It's either a noun or a pronoun. So, what is agreement? The adjective agrees with a noun or pronoun it modifies in gender, number, and case. So, yan ang rule of agreement. Applicable to all adjectives, ordinary adjectives, and participle as adjective modifier when it is used to modify a noun or a pronoun. Rule of agreement. Okay, let us give some examples here. You have Petrus vidit Christum orantem in orto. In English, Peter saw Jesus praying in the garden. If you analyze now the sentence, you have orantem is the present participle from oro, orare. So, drop the are, you have or plus ans, orans. It is in the accusative form. Why? Because it must agree with Christum, which is in the accusative form. Christum is masculine, orantem is masculine. Christum is singular, orantem is singular. So yan, that is an example of the observance of the rule of agreement between the noun Christum modified by the present participle orantem. Second example, Magistra laudata ab alumnis libros scripsit. In English, the teacher, praised by the students, wrote books. So in this example, we have the perfect passive participle, laudata, modifying magistra. And of course, agreeing with magistra in gender, number, and case. Magistra is feminine, laudata is feminine. Magistra is singular, laudata is singular. Magistra is nominative, laudata is nominative. So, ining duwang examples na ini just to show to you that the participle as an adjective modifier agrees with the word it modifies in number, gender, and case. Now, you will notice here. So part 1, we studied only how to form the participles. Digdi, when it is used now as a modifier, when it agrees with a noun or pronoun it modifies, it must change its form. Ha? Bako lang na hanggang orans lang kita. Laudans, monens, agens, o audience. Haba kung hanggang dyan lang kita. We have to learn the complete declension of all the 4 participles that we have already studied. How to form them. This time, in order to use them effectively and correctly as modifiers, then we have to learn their declension. Okay, the declension of participles. The perfect passive, future active, and gerundive, these 3 participles, they are declined like the first and second declension adjective. So, the model is manius, mania, manium. So, if you go to the perfect passive, example ta an ago agere, actus, acta, actum. Follow, manius, mania, manium. Future active, acturus, actura, acturum. Gerundive, agendus, agenda, agendum. Very elementary na ni. Very basic na ni. It's presumed that you have already learned manius, mania, manium. So, therefore, you have to give the correct form of the declension, whether masculine, feminine, or neuter, and then the different cases and the different number. So, yan, pinaka-passive yan. Ang perfect passive, future active, and gerundive. All of them ending in us, aum. Actus, acta, actum, acturus, actura, acturum, agendus, agenda, agendum. Declined like manius, mania, manium. So we go to the present active. In the example given as bago, we use the participle orantem, which we have said is masculine singular accusative case, agreeing with yesum. So how do we decline the present active participle? It is declined like the third declension adjective, potens, potens, potens. The genitive is potentis. Ang apod kani, duman sa mga grammar books is adjective of the third declension with one ending. Both sabihon, sa nominative singular, parareho sila. Potens, potens, potens. Yun yan. Taigwa maning mga adjective in the third declension, na dual lang ang ending. Masculine and feminine, pareho. Ang neuter, iba man. Sa nominative singular, ha? We're talking about nominative singular. Iba man yung tulong ending. Iba-iba ang masculine, feminine, and neuter sa nominative singular. Pero ang sa tong concern mo niyan is the third declension adjective with one ending. Example or model is potens, potens, potens. Ang nakabugtak dyan, potens, potentis, tapig tatao ang genitive singular. Except, you follow everything about potens, potentis, except for the ablative singular. Ang potens, potentis kaya, ang ablative singular ends in I. Kaya potenti, ablative singular yan. Pero ang gabos na present active participle, pag ablative singular, ends in E. Kaya, adjens, adjente. So, yan naging sa ibaba, singular sa nani. Mayo ng space degree sa ibaba. So, singular lang, mahiling do. In the first column, masculine. Second column, feminine. Third column is neuter. Adjens, adjens, adjens. Adjentis, adjentis, adjentis. Agenti, agenti, agenti. Agentem, agentem, agentem. Agente, agente, agente. Bakong E. Okay. Sa plural ka yan, syempre, bumang ka na maghiling sa grammar book mo. Tapos sabi ko na nga ni, may ng space degree sa iyo ba? Pero, kung tatandaan niyo, agentes, agentes, agencia. TIA. IA ang ending. Neuter. Genitive, agensium. Bakong tum. Kundi sium. IUM. Dative, agentibus, agentes, agentes, agencia, and then agentibus, agentibus, agentibus sa plural. So refer to your grammar books for the complete declension of potens, potentis, or ining mga present active participles. So, sa example subago, orange, kung i-apply ta digdi, orange, 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 orantis, 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 oranti, 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 orantem. Yan si ginamit ta. Accusative, orantem, orantem, orante, orante, orante. So, halimbawa itong kupyo, kupere, kupiens, baga ito ta, I-O verb. Kapyo, kapiens. So, kapiens, 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 kapientis, 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 kapienti, 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 capientem, 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 capiente, 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 etc., etc., etc. So, responsibilidad nindo na yan na magkonsulta sa indong grammar book. Dahil kung magkamo pinapatuong ka yan, pero dapat aram nindo kung ano ang correct form kang mga participles. So, perfect passive, future active, gerundive, passive. Follow, manius, manya, manyo. Present active, medyo difficile, pero ibang model. Follow, potens, and potentis. Okay, let us go back to the examples na pigtaw ta subago. Petrus vidit Christum orantem in urto. Peter saw Jesus praying in the garden. The second example is Magistra laudata ab alumnis libros scripsit. The teacher, praised by the students, wrote books. So the underlined words, orantem in orto laudata ab alumnis, in the examples given, yan, just to show you na sabi ko na nga ni subago, kulit ang participles, verbal, pwedeng gamitin siya sa mga construction that is used for verbs. In urto ab alumnis, mga pilitan ng apo doon na predicate in a general way. So, predicate in a general way. As in, pilitan apo doon yan na participial phrase. Yan, all the words there that belong to the participle. Orantem in urto, laudata ab alumnis. Ngunyan, additional examples to show you na kung ano pa ang pwedeng gibuhon na participle kang o na predicate, I mean constructions as verbal kang participle. Example here, Evangelium lecturus, diaconos stat. About to read the gospel, the deacon stands. So, lecturus is a future active participle. And as an active adjective, it modifies diaconos. Lecturus agrees with diaconos in gender, number, and case. Pero, as a verbal, lecturus has a direct object, evangelium. Lecturus evangelium or evangelium lecturus. About to read the gospel. So, yun ang example na iguang direct object. Sa second example, ab episcopo ordinandus diaconos stat. About to be ordained by the bishop, kulang si by the bishop dito sa English, the deacon stands. So, ordinandus is a gerundive. As an adjective, it modifies diaconos. Agrees with diaconos in gender, number, and case. But at the same time, as a verbal, ordinandus has an ablative of agent, episcopo, ordained by the bishop. So, yan, just pagpatutusan na ang participle is a verbal. Okay, these examples given above, however, are just to show to you na verbal ang participle. So, at the same time, they are adjective, at the same time, they are verbs. Kaya nga ni inaapod na verbal adjective. However, do not think na pwedeng gamitin na alone na may yung predicate. Pwede. Example din. Stands puer librum legit. Standing, the boy reads the book. Stands is a present participle modifying puer. And it is alone there. Pwede naman yung dagdagan. Standing in the classroom. Pero pwede man solo lang. Stands. Okay. Dumanyan sa inyo example, Petrus with Christum, pwede man orantem, period. Kaya pwede man gamito na solo lang. Pintao ka lang ng mga examples na ini just to show that participles are verbal. Okay?